I have no personal knowledge of what happened on the night of April 8, 2017, and most of what I know about Ms. Brennan's allegations I've learned recently through news accounts and Ms. Brennan's testimony. I'm happy to offer testimony on the issues for which I have personal knowledge. I have devoted much of my public career to public service, including positions with Senator Frank Lautenberg and Governor Richard Cody. I first began working with Governor Murphy shortly before the November 2018 general election as an unpaid volunteer working on the transition, offering assistance during the whirlwind of activity as the governor-elect set up his new administration. The governor had offered me a full-time position as his chief of staff, which I had accepted with honor. It was during the transition that I first learned that Alvarez had been accused of sexually assaulting someone. Specifically, on approximately December 1st, 2017, I had a conversation with the transition's outside counsel and Justin Braz, who at the time was an aide for the transition. Mr. Braz said that someone associated with the transition had accused Mr. Alvarez of sexually assaulting her. He said that Mr. Alvarez might be arrested and he thought that the transition should know. We asked Justin to share the name of the alleged victim, but Justin informed us he was not authorized to divulge her name. We, of course, respected the victim's privacy and her decision not to be identified. It was also my understanding at the time that the victim did not know Justin was sharing this information with us, and she did not authorize his disclosure. I thank Justin for coming forward. After Justin left the office, Transition Council said he would need to consider how to handle the situation. Not long after that, either later that day or the next day, Justin came back and told me that Mr. Alvarez would not be criminally charged after all. I again thanked him for the information. The head of Governor Murphy's transition, the transition's outside legal counsel, and I discussed the situation. At that time, we did not know who the victim was, and it was our understanding that the victim did not want us to know about her allegations. We also have been told the prosecutor declined to charge Mr. Alvarez. The transition's outside legal counsel said he would perform a special background check on Mr. Alvarez to see if anything came up. The background check came back clean. Counsel told us that we should take action to assure that Mr. Alvarez was not in a position to retaliate against the victim, whomever she might be, by limiting his hiring responsibilities and his ability to reject any resume submitted to the transition by anyone who could be the alleged victim. Counsel also advised us not to speak to Mr. Alvarez about the matter and to keep the matter confidential and not share the information with anyone else. The next time I recall hearing of allegations against Al Alvarez was on March 22nd, 2018, when the governor's chief counsel, Matthew Platkin, told me he had met with Ms. Brennan the day before, and she told him that she had been sexually assaulted by Mr. Alvarez during the campaign. This was the first time that I had heard that Katie Brennan was the person assaulted by Mr. Alvarez. Mr. Platkin said he was referring to the matter to Heather Taylor, the Chief Ethics Officer for the Governor's Office. Mr. Platkin informed me of the confidentiality requirements in the state EEO rules and thus advised me not to report the allegations to anyone else, including the Governor. Based on the information that we had, Mr. Platkin and I decided that Mr. Alvarez should be asked to leave state government. I therefore asked Mr. Alvarez to come to my office in Trenton on March 26, 2018. I told him he had been accused of sexual assault and that he should make arrangements to leave his state employment at the School Development Authority, where he was working as chief of staff. Mr. Alvarez adamantly denied the allegations, became teary-eyed and emotional, but I believe he fully understood my instructions that he was to leave state service. That was the last time I interacted with Mr. Alvarez. Prior to the Wall Street Journal's inquiries in October of 2018, at no time did I speak to the Governor concerning the allegations against Mr. Alvarez. As I described, I was advised by two different lawyers at two different times that there were confidentiality requirements concerning the victim's allegations. To the best of my knowledge, no one ever told the Governor. When the Governor and First Lady were informed what Ms. Brennan said she had suffered through, I was present. That was on October 2nd, 2018, immediately after the Wall Street Journal's inquiry. They were both blindsided and completely shocked. I'd like to reiterate my gratitude to the committee for allowing me to begin my testimony with a short statement, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.